Hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. We are going to be quickly going through the ultimate bread recipe. This is my #1 blog post. This is my #1 post on Facebook and Instagram. So what I want to do is go through how to make this. Folks, I'm not a baker, okay? I don't have, I like simple recipes, okay? And so I'm simply going to show you this recipe. And again, we're going to show you how this bread turns out. It is a multi-purpose bread recipe. It is not gluten-free, so if you need to investigate trying that, try this out and adapt it to your style all the way. I'm going to be making this today with bread flour. Okay, so I've already got everything pre-measured out. You can make this with all-purpose flour. You can make it with bread flour. I have seen results from both, and both are really, really good. You can transform this recipe into making rolls, cinnamon rolls, different flavored breads. You can add to it. You can make rolls like crazy. This is a general, multi-purpose, no-brainer, ultimate bread recipe. Why steer away from what works? Just adapt it how you want to transform it. That's what we do. Here's what we're going to do. Now I'm going to use my KitchenAid. If you refer back to the food storage challenge back in August, I made this by hand. It's easy, so don't feel like because you don't have a KitchenAid or something like that you can't make bread. That's not true. It just makes it a little quicker and easier. That's all it does, folks. It doesn't change the skill set, okay? So what I'm going to do is add 3 items because we want this to sponge. This is the beginning, okay? And I'm knocking things all around. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 cups of flour. And I've already pre-measured it because I don't want a 25-minute video, okay? It shouldn't be this complicated. Why you have to go and make things so complicated? We're not doing that today. 2 cups, boom, got things to do. Then we're gonna add in 2.5 cups of warm water. Poured it on in there, pre-measured. Lightly warmed water, lukewarm water, warm to the, easy on the wrist. Then I like to use SAF, this is your instant yeast, okay? And I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna get about, is this gonna be good? About a tablespoon, okay? I'm gonna put it in there, okay? I'm schooling the kids. We've got dinner going. We've got to run some errands later, all kinds of things. What I'm gonna do is just lightly mix this right in here. Wow. Okay, and I'm gonna let it sit and sponge for about 15 minutes. That is the first step, okay? You're already halfway there, people. Well, almost, okay? Just letting it sit, okay? We'll be back. All right, guys, I have allowed this to sponge. You want it to go for at least a good 15 minutes. Mine's gone about 20, so that's okay. You can see what it's doing in there. Okay, the next thing that you're going to do is so crazy simple. You're going to get about 4 cups of flour. See how I have 4 cups of flour right here? I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. You can adjust that if you want to, but I'm going to put that in there with the flour. I like to mix the salt in with the flour just to kind of evenly distribute it as much as possible, okay? Just a little bit. Mix it up because, when you're mixing your dry goods with your wet goods, you want them to be mixed pretty well separately so that you don't have too much salt in one bite. You know what that's like, right? So just kind of mixing that up a little bit, okay? You do whatever works for you. So we're over here with the KitchenAid. Okay, listen to me. You're going to add oil. Whatever oil you want to use for you, whatever. I use sunflower oil, okay? I love this stuff, and that is what I use. In fact, I need to get some more, actually. So I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup, pre-measured 1/4 of a cup of oil. Shaboom. Okay, that's easy. Then I'm going to add honey. Some folks add sugar. Some folks add maple syrup. Whatever, brown sugar, whatever you want to do. But I go with honey. Again, this is the basic recipe. Adapt it how you want. All right, so right there, local honey. I'm going to put in 1/3, so you can see it, 1/3 of a cup. You add a little less, add a little more, ain't going to hurt you. You do what works best for you. I'm not going to scrape it because I'm moving on. I'll tell you what, I'll scrape that out later and eat it. Haha. Right there. So you've added 4 ingredients, right? You've added your oil, your sweetener, which is your honey, and then you're going to add 4 cups of flour with the 2 teaspoons of salt. And I'm not going to dump it this time. Okay, I'm just going to put this in here, people. Okay? And then we're going to start mixing it. We're going to place this in there. We're going to mix it up. So let's get that in there and we'll see how she's rocking and rolling. Okay, everything's in there. I've added my hook and I'm going to place it in here. You may have to scrape the side, locked it down, and we're going to get it going. And we're just going to mix. Get her started. You don't want to go on a high power at first because you'll fly flour everywhere, as you know. So, you're going to want to knead your bread. If you're doing it by hand, it's obviously going to take more time. I have found that just a few minutes of mixing right here with my KitchenAid works really, really well. And then once you get it really nice and mixed, you may have to stop it and help it a little bit. Then what you're going to do is you're going to let it rest again. Let it rest in the bowl. Don't touch it. Let it sit. Let it do its thing. It's gelling. It's getting all together. It's all that you need for it to do, okay? Again, this video is very simple. We're not going into bread details. We're just showing you how we make this one recipe. You can already see what it's doing right there, okay? So let it knead, let it mix. Don't overthink it. Don't overwork it, okay? And then once that's done, we're going to let it rest. Let's take a look at what we got in here, okay? So I'm stopping it just for a second to make sure. I knocked the camera. I'm sorry. Trying to do this and film at the same time. I'm going to mix it a little bit more. I'm going to get this bowl out of my way before I knock it on the floor. Lock it. So you can see it's mixing up quite nicely. So I'm going to let that continue for another moment, and then I'm just going to stop it and let it rest for at least 10 minutes. That's not rising. That is the resting. Okay? All right. Okay, guys, so here's the deal. So my bread or my dough has been kneaded in the KitchenAid, okay, for the most part, and I just took the hook off, and it's been sitting for at least 10 minutes. Do you see that? So after that happens, after it's been kneaded, you want to let it rest. We're past that. Here's what I'm going to do. Let me tell you right now. This recipe makes 2 full loaves of bread. I am going to be doing one, or making, I always say doing, don't I? I'm going to make 1 loaf in my Lodge loaf pan. It's cleaned, it's seasoned, it's oiled, and I have even put in a little bit of parchment paper in the bottom. I do that. You don't have to, people. And then I added a little bit more of the sunflower oil. The second thing that I'm going to do is the second round, if you will, or the other half. So first half's going to a bread loaf. The second batch is going to go into making some rolls, and I'm going to put them into my Lodge 10-inch cast iron skillet, okay? So that's what I'm saying. You can make bread, you can make rolls, you can make pizza dough, you can make cinnamon rolls, whatever fits your fancy, okay? I'm just going to show you a little versatility here. We're going to have bread for tomorrow or later this evening, and I'm going to make rolls to go with my dinner. So what I'm going to do, move this to the side. I'm going to take this out right here. I'm just going to finish working it up, and I'm not using flour. I'm using more sunflower oil. Some folks like to use flour. I think that adds too much flour to the recipe. Try using oil, okay? So that's what you're going to see me doing, and then I'm going to split it in half, okay? And I'm going to put the first half right in here, and then I'm going to make my rolls, and then we're going to have to let them rise. Rise, rise, rise. And how warm it is where you are, whether you place them in the lightly heated oven to rise them up, whether you take them and put them by your wood stove, which works great, but it's 70 degrees today. So we probably won't have a super long need of time and things in order to make this rise. Let's keep our fingers crossed on that. So let's get working. That's what we're doing. If you need to do something different, do what works for you. All right, guys, so this is what I've done today. You can make 2 bread loaves if you want, loaves of bread. You can make rolls. You can make cinnamon rolls, whatever. What I'm going to do is now let them rise. You can leave them on the countertop, and you definitely want to put something over them so they will rise. You can just go with that how you need to, okay? What I'm going to do is preheat the oven very quickly, just to very slightly rise the temperature in there. Turn on the light. Place that in there, okay? It's not going to remain on. I just want a little bit more than 65, 70 degrees in my house. I want more like 80, 85 or so. See what I'm saying? Because you'll want it to rise on up, girl. So let's do it. All right, guys. Do you see how this has all come up? This has been about an hour, give or take a little bit. So I just put it in there. I just heated the oven for just like a minute or two. I turned on the light, and then I turned off the oven, and I just placed these gently in there, and this is what they've done on their own, okay? I mean, I can touch everything. It's just warm and cozy, okay? Just just warm, touching, leaving my fingers on there. So it's letting it rise up. This is how I'm doing it today because my wood stove's not running, okay? And it's about 68 to 70 in the house, but I want this to rise, okay? So my wood stove's not cranked. Or it's not even, we don't even have a wood stove, our wood stove going. So I'm going to bring these out very quickly but gently. I'm going to preheat the oven to 350. Then I'm going to place these back in here once that's up, once the oven is where it needs to be. I'm 350, and I'm going to let these bake for 30 minutes, give or take, or to a minute. Okay, pretty much right on par with 30 minutes, okay? That's what we're doing. All right, guys, I just took them out, literally, and set them on the countertop. And I want you to see how well these rolls, it's like a pull apart, how well they lift up. No sticking. So we're going to let them sit and just cool down a little bit, and then we'll take them out. And we'll see how they look on the inside as well. You can put butter on top. You can put more oil, whatever you prefer. I'm telling you, this is the ultimate bread recipe. It covers everything you need, okay? So you can transform it, change it up a little bit, just work with it and roll with it, baby, okay? We absolutely love it. You can't make too much of it, and I haven't met a person yet that absolutely hasn't been blown away by it. Ask my homesteading group. This is the #1 post in my homesteading group. All the new folks that are, getting into homesteading or trying to, learn how to make bread, they try this and they're like, where have I been? I know. There's so many great recipes out there. So definitely do what works for you and try different things. But if you're like me, I want what's simple, quick for what it is, and easy to transform. This, ladies, mamas, this is your bread recipe. All right, guys, it's still very, very hot to the touch, but I want to get in there and show you exactly what we're talking about, okay? This is the ultimate bread recipe. Works like a charm for everybody I know. So ladies, guys, gals, kids, get in there and start making your bread. You have the recipe to do so. I will put a link in the description for the basic items that I used. Don't forget your large cast irons. Yeah, your large cast iron skillets and loaf pan. I'll put a link down below for those too, because can't go wrong with large. I've been telling you that for a long, long time. All right, jump in there. Thanks for watching. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. And you know I have every man in the house lining up for some homemade bread. Of course we do. Y'all have a great night.